Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Happy New Year. A lot has changed since the last time we were on air. What has changed? Argentina and Messi have won a World Cup. I've been very, very badly ill, me and the family. But one thing that hasn't changed is Arsenal are still above all at the moment. So that's it's like I think we should might do the old one I've done before. Do we need to really have a chat about it? Nothing's changed in the last couple of weeks, lads. So, I mean, what do you think?
I mean, we should talk about it just because, we should. But yeah, we're still top. So, and clear.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for joining me. I'm joined by my two top guys, Bes Kelmendi, and they call me Stephen Osakwe. How you doing, guys? And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Feeling all good. It's top of the league. Still smiling.
Great feelings always. Sorry to interrupt you, Stephen.
No, good stuff. No, thank you for joining me. Obviously, it's been a few games, obviously 3 games since the restart. We had the comeback win against West Ham. We had the pretty chaotic ending to the Brighton game where we sort of got a bit of revenge over our more recent bogey side, and gave us a few scares. And obviously the draw against the new team, Atletico Newcastle. I think Kieran Trippier's influence has been pretty good. Probably staying with Simeone, but yeah, tough game, tough fixture. So obviously we know all the ins and outs of that and how everything has. The fallout from the media and whatever what everyone else has had to say, but we'll do a little bit different tonight. So I'm going to fire some questions to the guys on basically which covering the fallout and the ramifications from what occurred that night, and obviously talk about whatever else comes up. And I'll start with Stephen in regards to that. So obviously. The lack of options on the bench. Whenever I look at the lineup, I'm sure you guys do it as well. But whenever you look at the starting 11, your eyes, my eyes normally drift to the substitutes bench. Who's on there. What happens if we can't make a breakthrough? What are the game changers to maybe open the team up, and what are the options there to maybe shut things down? Obviously, we've got Holding there, but did the lack of the options on the bench offensively worry you as much? And obviously, especially with a situation like this at the moment, it's going to become more frequent. Hopefully, with us chasing the title, that as the games go down. I mean, did it worry you that much, and how he basically dealt with that situation?
Yes, I think I've touched on it before about using your squad so that you give players minutes, even if it is 10-15 minutes per game, just to keep them match fit and match ready. So when they are called in for a game like Newcastle, for example, then you've got options available to you. It just allows players to come in and go, right, I've been playing, I've been feeling part of the team, I know what's happening, I'm straight in. Not every player can just be an El Neni in that sort of sense and just come in, or Rob Holding and just come in and just go, right, I know I'm not going to play today. Oh, wait, I'm playing. I come in and I do my job, and that's it. With the younger guys, they need to be playing and getting minutes more. I think it's always kind of been there this season. We've all sort of mentioned it, a bad injury to somebody. And then we look at our squad and we go, oh, okay, who's the actual replacement? I think we've all talked about Thomas Partey in the past, if he got injured. And, luckily, he's had nothing serious so far. And we now look at Jesus missing. And Eddie's done fantastic, by the way. He's done fantastic. So, but we do look at our bench and we do just go, it's not a Man City bench. Man City bench is packed with superstar internationals. You look at all the teams around us, basically. Sorry, below us, and they do have stronger benches. So that will be a factor at some point. But look, we're top of the league, and I don't question Arteta too much. because he sets up the team. He's got everything right. He put trust in Eddie, and Eddie has scored goals. I mean, the goal against was it Brighton, the one where he turned the defender?
Oh, West Ham.
West Ham. It was West Ham. Yeah, they were wearing black. The one where the balls, Odegaard played the ball in and he's turned the defender, and that's a top finish. He felt for the defender, left arm, right arm, turn, bang, back of the net. A striker, a centre forward sort of goal. So yes, it does look a bit light. I'm sure him and Eddie will be looking at it. And like last winter, if they can find the right deal, they'll go for it. If they can't find the right deal, we just carry on. Again, we're top of the league now. Our main goal was always reaching the top 4. I've heard some media outlets talk about, Tottenham winning yesterday against Palace and them being that's the reason why they'll get top 4. It's like I said, can't question Arteta. What are we 7-8 points clear as it stands at the moment. I know the Chelsea, Newcastle.
Just got 1-0 up. City have just got 1-0 up as well.
Okay, so that will take it down to 5 points. But we're still 5 clear. So, like I said, if they can get the right people in, fantastic. If they can't, and it doesn't happen, we just carry on as normal. Yeah.
Yeah, touching on that, Bez. I mean, on obviously the bench and obviously the lack of depth. Obviously, we'll talk about it later. Obviously, the injuries that we've got and players that we hopefully got to come back into that. But obviously, the focus is on this guy. Do we have to look at? It seems like things are kind of replicating what happened in the summer especially with Chelsea. Obviously, they tried to hijack the Jesus deal. They went in and hijacked the Rafinha deal, and he basically said he wanted to go to Barcelona. He didn't want nothing to do with Chelsea, but they came in and decided to bid above us and then make things a little bit awkward for us. And people say, oh yeah, they pied us or whatever. And then obviously you look at the Martinez deal, who from Ajax. And we were putting bids in. Ajax and want to sell to us, and then obviously they sold to United. So we went. Okay, see you later. So we went and got Zinchenko. So do you see us? How can we afford to spend too much time chasing this guy down, or obviously looking from the outside in is obviously going to be. We don't know what the inner workings are, but what are your hopes are for us in this situation? Do you think we just go out and pay the money for an unproven youngster, or do we look at maybe someone more experienced that might be available for less money?
In no respect, you can go for someone, let's say, the guy's credentials, but at the same time, I feel like don't go around chasing less causes. If it doesn't really want to come to Arsenal, just have a plan B, because at this rate, it's just going to be like one of those, old sagas we saw some other players. You want to come to us, within it be the last 2 weeks, they'll just say, no, I'm not coming to you. But I feel like, for the love of God, if you really want to come, and I can see in his social media posts, he's watching our games, he's watching other teams' games.
Yeah.
He's got Zinchenko as his own international, teammate as well, in respect to Ukraine. And I just feel like, surely as Arsenal as well, if he doesn't come to Arsenal, just have a plan B, because surely you can chase maybe till let's say shall we say late this week, next week, but don't let it drag on. Because simply B, I don't think it's worth the time. Even the fact that he seems amazing for money from other people who are telling me he's good, he's great, but just I feel like just have a plan B, because otherwise, as you know yourself, with these football players now, they're so fickle. They just change like the English weather. Just 1 minute, they just disappears, which is very sad, really.
Yeah. Steve, would you say we go in for this guy, or or is it just hopeful? Like people talk about Felix, Ferran Torres. I mean, but it's such what Bez has kind of said. We should just maybe put in another bid for this guy, and maybe just say that's it, and maybe walk away, because you're getting hold over a barrel of. He's played like 30 games or something, 30 senior games. 85 million. It's a bit crazy, isn't it?
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I mean,
a lot of risk, isn't it? It's the risk. You just don't know how you're not, you're never guaranteed anything. If you look at how long it kind of took Partey to get to where he is now. So sorry to jump in, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, again, we give Partey an example. We can look at Fabio Vieira as an example. Yes, he came to us injured, but yes, he's still settling and adjusting to the physicality, the pace of the Premier League. So 80, 85 million, whatever is being touted, is a monumental amount of money for somebody that is not going to start. For me, it's as simple as that. Saka is our star boy, and he's performing. You notice how Jesus is sort of with his injury. Saka has stepped up again. Not that he wasn't stepping up before, but he's stepped up again. Same as Martinelli, same as Odegaard, same as Nketiah, same as the other players. They've all stepped up again and just added that a little bit more to be pushing us forward. Does he come in and start? No, you're paying 80 million for somebody that's not going to come in and start, because he's not starting ahead of Martinelli and he's not starting ahead of Saka.
Nope.
Yes, I want the deal done. If it, like Bes said, we don't need to have it drag on. If plan A is not working and we're still getting a lot of, oh, no, you need to pay an extra 2 million here, an extra 4 million here, an extra 7 million here, whatever. And then Shakhtar just dragging their heels because they want the best price. But for somebody that's played 30 senior games, 80 million is a lot for a player that is not going to start. And I know that I'll probably get a bit of stick for this, but I wouldn't pay 80 million for a bench player. Even if he does come and performs, whose place does he take? He doesn't take Martinelli's. He doesn't take Saka's. He doesn't take Odegaard's. He's not playing as a striker. Whose place does he take? So Arsenal are right. Get the right money for him. 50, 60 million. You can sort of go, okay, you know what? We're paying for potential and his age, and and he can grow and challenge for places in the starting 11, and he gives us good options and stuff like that. But if Shakhtar just going, it's 80 million, nothing else, or 85 million and nothing else, then we walk away and we go with other options. João Felix is for me, is probably a good option because it's a loan. He covers us for this short period. If it works out, fantastic. If it doesn't work out, he goes back to Atletico. And that for me is probably where I'm heading towards. Just because Felix covers as well as the striker's position, he also covers the other positions as well.
Yeah, I think it's a cost on the weight on his wages. I think, which is the sticking point. The loan fee, whatever.
I think they want something stupid like 15 million or something like that.
Yeah,
and then it's his wages as well. But again, it's a short term. Rather than saying, okay, this guy comes in for 80 million, and then he sits on the bench.
Yeah, I just think I just think what happened on the Newcastle game. I'm sorry, I don't even know what day it's on because obviously Christmas period, you forget what day is what. But it kind of exposed obviously that those last 20 minutes. It kind of highlighted what we're kind of missing. We'll talk about him later, but it would have been great if in certain situations where Xhaka got the ball in that left 8 side, it would have been interesting to see if ESR was there on the half turn and running at their defence, getting those balls, because he got a lot of passes from Zinchenko in that sort of channel. And that's not, I'm not having a dig at Xhaka, but in those we've seen before where he's been replaced for someone a bit more attack minded. But obviously on this occasion, Arteta didn't want to do that with Vieira. So yeah. But I just think the last game especially just showed us if we just needed a little that game changer on the side just to come in and give us something for the last 20 minutes. But just touching on Arteta, I'll go back to you, Steve. He seems to have been, sort of got a target on his back. And I know you obviously with your experience of working in that area. In terms of the media in the press box, and again, it just seems that they can't sort of help themselves in terms of, is Arsenal? Is it again? Every game there's a different narrative. Have they over celebrated a goal? Yes, no. Ashburton and Army, which we'll probably touch on a bit later. Respect for them for what they're doing. I think they're doing a great job. People are trying to fire shots at us, saying, "Oh, should Arsenal, should fans be doing that?" And it's like they're improving the atmosphere. So why are you having a go at them? But obviously with Arteta, as Arsenal fans, we know what Arteta's like. This is him. This is what Arteta is like. So I can't understand why. Can you explain to me why they've all of a sudden decided to go to town on him on that when some of his colleagues in the league have done a lot worse?
To put it politely, it's jealousy, isn't it? I mean, you can't celebrate a win. Okay, why not? It's a win. That's what you celebrate. You don't celebrate a loss, do you? You can't show passion. Hold on, football's all about passion. It's all about passion from your. If you see the passion from your manager, from your team, the fans respond to it. If you see the passion from the fans, the players and the manager respond to it. That's why we're so well connected right now, both from fans to players to manager to everyone within the club. So. It's just jealousy because it never gets brought up before. He strays out of his box. You've had Richard Keys go, no, Arteta's straying out of his box. So what? He's not the first and he won't be the last. If it was that much of a big deal, then you'd see managers getting sent off all the time, getting yellow cards and being sent off because they'll just go, you can't get outside the box. The box is what they call a technical area. It's respect. That's where you should be. But it doesn't say that's where you have to be. Okay, you can stroll anywhere you need as long as you don't encroach on the pitch. So yes, it's just jealousy. It'd be pointless saying that it's anything else other than he shows passion. The fans respond to that. The players respond to that.
Yep.
He's frustrated at certain things. We're frustrated at certain things. If your manager just sits there and just gives you nothing. We've had it before. I've heard it before.
We've had it before. Yeah.
And I've heard it before from other friends of that got managers from other clubs. Oh, he doesn't get up and galvanise the team and and blah blah blah. He just sits there. Yeah, of course. Yeah. How do the fans respond to that? They just sit there. How do the players respond to that? Okay, yeah, well, we can just okay.
He's all right with it. Yeah, he seems to be all right with it. He's not telling us anything. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's true. Bez, it's I think whenever you've come on and we've had a chat about like the media and the agenda, it's just like a broken record, isn't it?
Stephen, they're 100,000,000% because simply jealousy is one factor and one thing only. They don't want to see us doing well.
Yeah.
Again, it's like Stephen can explain from we can relate to us. Every Arsenal fan can relate to any generation. When Arsenal do well, a gen against Arsenal. That's the only way it exists in the last 16, 17 years. I remember my team growing up. We won that unbeaten run. I swear to God, I don't even recall anything in the media being anything. It's only like, I think maybe 15 years later, people say, oh, yeah, Immortals are a special thing and they got a golden trophy. I'm thinking that should be celebrated in the moment, in the heat of the moment, should have been celebrated, should have been embraced. What we did for this league even, how we won it, how we did it, in fact.
Yeah.
And everyone was saying, oh, Chelsea won 64 games unbeaten at home. I'm thinking that means jack, in all respect, which I don't want to swear right now.
Yeah.
We went unbeaten home and away, 49 games. Even Sol Campbell was saying the other day, I think I read someone that's saying it's not easy, for a man who's been through a lot. I know for a fact Sol Campbell's been through a lot as a man that he's been through, as a personal, maybe with his partner, or he has some issues, God knows what it was. I don't want to refer to it right now. And then something down there, obviously, I experienced some, racial abuse, which is not nice to see. I think, in fact, the man actually gave us that stepping stone. That gave us that leadership that we needed. Sadly, didn't stay on for a long time, which would be nice to see him later on. But I just feel like everything we do well goes against us. When we do badly, we've been bullied apart. We've been torn apart. I feel like, give us a rest already, man. As Steve was saying, jealousy. I mean, surely I feel like to say these fans, okay? I won't say their names, these other fan bases around right now. All these media outlets. These so-called pundits who used to be footballers. I get it. Some play for rival teams, which I won't go to again, the full details. We're not attacking anyone, but they'll know who we're talking about anyway, most people. At the same time, too, I feel like you're not seeing the commentary or just as passion. Man, as a fan base, we've been through a lot. We had to suffer to reach the stage, surely. Every fan base will suffer, but not like the way we did. Like we hit rock bottom. And we picked ourselves again, as Stephen said. We build a connection, and they want to see us like when we're doing well. It's like they want us to fail again. I feel like just let us be, man. Let us enjoy this moment. Like even today, I met a Chelsea fan. I said, "Well, I said, it's not bad, is it? You clearly are like even top Fulham are above you. He said, yeah, I know. And we have 2 games less than them. I was like, well, I felt like saying to him, like, it sucks to be you right now, isn't it, mate? But I said, you know what? I'm in a public place. Just keep it friendly. Keep it, diplomatic. Just don't get anything crazy here. And I told him an Arsenal fan. He's like, okay, fine. You got a bit lucky against Newcastle. I said, well, unlucky is the word, but
yeah.
It's more to that. But I said, I'll talk about it another time,
Yeah. But no, it's no, you're spot on. I think a lot of it has to do as well because obviously the standing that the club and the fan base has in social media and everything. So they know that if they write something, whether it's positive or not, it's going to get a lot of traction. And I think that's a part of the reason they followed off the TalkSport template, which many years ago they did a thing called Daily Arsenal, and then everybody else in the media circles have looked at that and they've just tried to replicate it. And they think, if you talk about Arsenal, whether it's positively or negatively, but mainly negatively, you're going to get loads of visits to whatever site it is, whatever, and that's basically what it is. A lot of us won't know who these people are, until you've been sort of tagged into something, which they've said. But anyway, let's lead them to their jealous ways. So talking, obviously about going forward, obviously with the games that we've got coming up, for me, it's obviously we've got such a run of big games as well. Obviously Tottenham, United, and obviously then City to come at the end of the 6 games run we've got coming up. For me, it's the rotation, and I just think it's going to lead to, basically as it says there, it's going to lead to burnout if he doesn't have good rotation. But I think he said he didn't want to make too many changes against Newcastle because he didn't want to sort of upset it. But what do you think the lack of rotation, Steve? What do you think that kind of message sends to the players that are on the bench? Obviously the only one who probably could have come on and done something would have been Vieira, as you touched on before. Marquinhos was on there as well, but he looks like he hasn't had any sort of minutes really. But what sort of message does that send? And with the Europa League coming up again, is it a point now he's going to have to make a decision? Will he chuck the FA Cup? He's come to a point where he might have to do that. And then maybe, even, really go lighter than he would like to in the Europa League because of where we are in the league. I mean, we all know what's going to resolve that. What's going to fix that is getting a couple of players in. But what do you think? Can he keep doing that, not making that many changes?
Short answer is no. I think for Oxford, we're going to see a lot of changes naturally. And that's no disrespect to Oxford. They're going to come and they're going to want to upset us and they're going to defend for their lives and everything else. I still expect us to beat them. The next games after that, as you said, are Tottenham, United, Everton, Brentford. I can just see it rolling on the bottom of the screen there. So that's how I know. And then City. That's 5 tough games.
Yeah.
That's 5 very, 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 very tough games.
It's like the Everton will have the new manager bounce as well, probably by then, I imagine.
Brentford are still, look what they did. They're a good side. So those are all 5 difficult games. He has to rotate somehow. It's been unfortunate, like I said, the players that have been injured are attacking players. Defenders are usually a bit more resilient to play more week in, week out because they get moments in the game where they can just observe, if you see what I mean. Their bursts of energy are different to, say, your midfielders and your wingers and attackers, where they're constantly having to do bursts of energy to run past people. They're just more used to having 1 or 2 bursts against them in short periods of time. So they've got better recovery. For the attacking side of things, I think we will see Vieira at some point. He will probably he'll definitely start the Oxford game, see how he does there. And then, excuse me, see how he does there and then go to the Tottenham game and we'll have a fresher squad for that anyway. So we've got to rotate. We know we've got to rotate. We've got a small squad. If we are able to get people in, fantastic. If not, then we just have to use those players better and where possible make those substitutions a little bit early so players are coming off and players are getting more minutes. That way they feel more integrated in the team, feel more part of how the flow of the game is going, and can then have an impact.
Yeah, which absolutely, which leads to like Oxford. Bez, what are you expecting? Are you expecting it to be a complete, full rotation, or do you think there'll be maybe one or two players on there that, the first team? Because obviously we've still got a few days until the North London derby. So I know it's on the Monday, the Oxford game. But what were you expecting? How would you go? How would you approach that?
Again, it's frustrating for fan to say this, but as Stephen says again, I do agree with him. Just rotate, but also at the same time for a caution the win, because simply be the next Anissa Vieira, Fabio Vieira needs to play. Like, we need him, and he's got that vision. That's right now. I think he's got one of the best in the whole squad. I mean, you saw him when he played, I think, if I'm correct, against the Brentford game away, he literally lit up the game. Yeah. I'm not saying someone should play in his place, but surely, maybe let's say with 60 minutes, they're saying that in a player, let's say, attacking in position, he's not playing, let's say, his best game, replace him. I mean, it's not that it affects his morale, because right now the whole team is together. That means I play for you, you play for me, I play for the fans. Of course, you play for the manager, you play for, obviously, the team, as overall, you play for that sense of, pride, shall we say. I just feel like it's just prime. We're just going to go back to Newcastle just to touch things up. I just felt like when it was 60 minutes on, why didn't you throw Fabio Vieira just like that? Surely, so like sadly, attacking, press was a bit less, shall we say. But why didn't you play him at all? Why not bring on who's a young boy, maybe a youth team player, something, just someone, just give a little spark even. Who doesn't matter the age, the experience, anything. I think, they might get cautioned, they might get, yellow. Still, just try, like a rabbit out of the hat, just pull a little trick. Yeah. I mean, Wenger's done in the past, Ferguson's done in the past. I don't see why Arteta shouldn't even, just risk it, try.
Yeah.
And just even said, if you don't buy anyone, okay, make use of what we have, but please, just surprise this haters, this agenda of people that have against Arsenal. Just give us surprises. That's what we want. Rotate, yes, but throw caution in, yes. But please utilize what they have if you don't get anyone, because we want to see everyone play well. Whoever that start 11 is, okay, great. The subs need to have their own time as well. But man, if you don't utilize them, you just let them sit there and rot, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, come, late April, early May. I mean, they won't be ready probably, and they'll be like, Mikel, am I going to play for us? Are you going to not play me today, or when I'm going to play? Where am I today? It's like.
Yeah, it's the physical and mental side of things as well, isn't it? It's always the way you need to show that you've got faith in these players, and if you, I'm sure they'll get a good run out against Oxford, but in circumstances like that, unless he's got a knock or something that we don't know, but in circumstances like that, Newcastle, even when they made their substitutions, there was a spell where they were just going for corners and set pieces and just loading up. They didn't open us up really. We sort of controlled everything towards the end. So that would have thought, well, because we are still controlling possession and it's not a basketball game as such, could still slot him in that, Vieira in that position, and maybe for Xhaka and then just have an extra playmaker in that situation. But I think he's been labelled at that in the past in terms of how he sort of integrates people from the bench and not leave them as outsiders, because we all know what his first team 11 is, and it's like that's it's set in stone. But I think obviously what will be helpful for us is going into, obviously we're in January, the transfer window. Obviously we're looking at getting a couple of players in. Obviously, one of these guys ain't going to be back in January, but hopefully the other one and the one on the left will, and hopefully he'll feature for at least an hour, let's say on Monday, or maybe half an hour. I don't know, but if he comes back fit, if he manages to stay fit, he's going to be massive. Obviously because we know what he's capable of. We know the damage he can do in that position. He sort of played the way Martinelli wasn't he? He's more on that left-hand side, but I think he can do a job deeper in, maybe coming in where Xhaka is on the left side of 8. I mean, Jack on the Purely Arsenal podcast, mentioned it in a group, and I just got me thinking, yeah, he could do that. He's got the ball running ability, and he can get the ball on a half turn, and he's all of a sudden he's on the back of someone's defence. What are you thinking, Steve? I mean, obviously, it looks like Gabriel. I think he's Gabriel Jesus. He's released some footage of him, on Instagram, of him doing his training and his recovery. Still funny, they haven't given any time scale of when he's going to be back, which is surprising, even if it's just just throwing something out there. But how important could a fit ESR be in terms of what we're talking about in terms of rotation and having that and keeping the quality up, which I think that's what it all boils down to, isn't it? You don't want the level to drop. We saw it with Wenger when he used to have his set team, and when players were injured, they came straight back into the team to bring that level back up. So is it basically the same case?
Yeah, I think with Emile Smith-Rowe, he's a very, very smart and tidy player. And I think when he does come back in, it will be gradual, like we've seen with players like Tierney and stuff like that, because you don't want anything happening again or any sort of... We've got to be cautious with it, basically. But Emile Smith-Rowe is a very, very smart player. He can play that 8 where Xhaka plays, because he likes to make those runs. He is good on the ball. Like I said, he's technically very sound, to be perfectly fair. I remember having a conversation with somebody who said, "Oh yeah, but he doesn't do them spray balls and this, that, and the other." And I said, "I don't think you really appreciate what he does do. He does have it all in his locker." So yes, Arteta will be hoping to get him back, but again, not rush him back. I think, look, we're all right. To be perfectly fair, we're all right. I mean, even if we get another injury to somebody, we're all right. I do believe that whoever comes in will do a job. I just believe that you just need to be giving people the minutes to be able to come in and do that job, so that if anything does happen, we pray that it doesn't. But if something does happen, then they're on the edges of being match ready. So they're not just coming in and going, that first game, they looked a bit all over the place and didn't really fit in with the system and stuff like that. And then the second game, they've looked better. And the third game, they've looked better. And then they've got better and better and better. If they get in those minutes, when it is time for them to come in, they are then set. They can just come in and go, yeah, boom, I'm banging. I'm hitting it straight away. And we're not going to lose them. And that way the level doesn't drop, as you mentioned. And that you talked about Wenger having his starting 11. And when somebody was injured, they'd come straight back into the team. Excuse me. That's the same with Klopp. That's the same with Pep. That's the same with every top manager. You've got your starting 11.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just around that. With Pep at City, for example, he's just lucky to have a starting 22. Do you know what I mean? I've heard Liverpool fans complaining about their squad size and stuff like that, and I've just sort of gone, you can't really complain. You not. Last season, you were going, "No, look, we were 1 point behind Man City," and blah 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 blah. That's down to underinvestment and not going, "Okay, this is what we need." They're now trying to invest in players, but that's going to take them a little while to integrate those players into their team. So Arteta has his starting 11. The starting 11 is fine. Eddie's coming for Jesus. Eddie's done great. If somebody else gets injured, somebody else will come in. They'll do great. I said I'm not too worried about it. I just want to see players give him more minutes. Yeah,
cool. And touching on that is what you said. People coming in and doing a good job. There's still plenty to be positive about. Obviously you had the comeback win against West Ham. Obviously, the way we went about that, because I think West Ham to a certain extent tried to do the same thing as what Newcastle did, which was the low block, and they made it very awkward for us for that first half. They actually took the lead, and obviously just weren't as defensively. The nous wasn't there, and obviously we had a lot cuter on that night. On the edge of the boxes, and then obviously the performance against Brighton. So. There was a lot of doom and gloom from obviously all the pundits saying obviously Jesus is out. We're not going to score any goals. Neither is Eddie Nketiah. We ended up scoring obviously 7 goals in 2 games, and obviously I put at the bottom there just Ashburton Army because of the atmosphere. Again, just been unbelievable for the last season and a half, 2 seasons. There's a lot to play for. Obviously, we're not counting our chickens in terms of winning the league or anything like that. For me, if you ask me, I'm still looking at that top 4. I'm looking over my shoulder with the likes of United going on runs, and obviously Newcastle haven't lost. They've lost 1 game, I think, all season or something like that as well, which is crazy. But Bez, you still feeling positive about what's to come. I know we're going to go through a roller coaster, but you're looking forward to it.
I'll say bring it on. What can I say as a football fan? Well, as a football role, everything is there for taking. Let the team be. Again, I'll go what Stephen said. Just utilize what you have. If we don't get anyone, we have a decent starting 11, a reasonable bench. The youth system so far looks decent from what I can see. Just the fact is, again, as you said, about all respect, I know Ashburton Army is not getting good rep from certain media outlets, but at the same time, I just feel that they're making that noise that we've been craving about the Emirates. Yeah. People still saying Emirates is a library. For the love of God, I watched the game the other day. Because of them, I know for a fact that was a very loud atmosphere, despite the game being very feisty. I won't say nothing bad about Newcastle overall, but all respect, it's just for that great atmosphere. We've all been craving Emirates, for a long, long time before we even left, Emirates, and we had obviously a summer hybrid a little bit. Yeah. It was like people just even not complaining. It's like they didn't want us to have an atmosphere. And for the love of God, you've been crying about the also has no atmosphere in Emirates. Now there is an atmosphere, and they still say someone scores is bad. I'm thinking they're not making a bad scene. I don't hear anything bad about Ashburton Army at all in the media, like the good stuff they do. No, it's more like they're causing havoc, making nonsense. I'm sorry, but I won't say other teams' names, but there's other fan base around who cause more disruption, more say violence or God knows what they do around.
Yeah,
we're just making noise. It's like, again, they don't want us to do well. There's like people, media love us just to do bad, just to say collapse, and that's say Arsenal, you don't deserve it. It's like, what's going on again? It's like we're going back in time or something.
Yeah, it's definitely a different Emirates Stadium to the time I used to work there. Myself and Steve used to work there. Steve, your thoughts for the what's to come? You're again like Bez. I imagine you're positive and looking obviously who we get in. If we don't get people fit. And just make a good run. I mean, I think the disrespect that we've had as in terms of what we've achieved, again, this is the best start that we've seen as our club have. I think in Premier League history, definitely. Having lost just 1 game so far, but what's your hopes for what's to come?
I'm going to remain positive, just like Bez and everybody else. This is I'm looking inner, forgetting the outer. Like I said, they're going to keep on saying stuff. Remember when it was, it's only Brentford, it's only this team. Then these teams beat these other teams, and then people go, okay, well, Newcastle was Arsenal dropped points. This is where they're going to fall down. Newcastle are a top team. They're 3rd in the league for a reason. So for me, there's no panic stations. There's no need to panic. We've been doing well. We won 2 games after the return, and we drew 1. What have City done? What have Tottenham done? What have Newcastle done? What have United done? It's all been pretty similar. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but it's all been pretty similar. So I'm positive. The Ashburton Army, long may it continue. It's noise. Most of the stuff they do is outside the stadium before a game. That gets the other fans geared up. Okay, so yes, they are making noise and they're letting off fireworks and and whatever else, but it's outside the stadium. They're not doing it inside the stadium. The only thing that one of my steward friends mentioned was that they stand in the aisles, and look, as a former steward, we know how difficult that is to actually steward, and we look at it from a safety point of view. If somebody needs access to those to the aisles quickly, it's difficult to get those fans out of the way. But apart from that, that's nothing. And it usually in those sort of situations, if something serious is happening, people just move anyway. But it's just always good to have that sort of clearance. And you go to like Liverpool and everywhere else, and Newcastle and wherever, and you'll get the same sort of thing from certain sections of their fans. They're always standing, they're always doing this, they're always making noise, blah 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 blah. It's normal behaviour. Okay, it's normal behaviour. Yes, it is a seated stadium, so you are there to sit, but people naturally you're there and you want to stand, although it is a seated stadium. I've given that talk plenty of times to fans before. He's gone, look, it's a seated stadium. Think of the kids.
Yeah.
Usually you point out one of the kids and you go, look, if they can't see, and this is their first experience of the Emirates and the game, and they always use the back of your jacket or head or whatever, and it's not great for them. But in that section, it is mostly adults. Kids don't really go to that section because they usually stay in family coach upper tier, basically elsewhere. So, bring on the noise, bring on the criticisms. Let them talk about us. Let them talk negatively about us. But we're just doing what we do at the moment, and we're winning games. We're playing good football. You can't win them all. Newcastle, you can't win them all. And I think it was Gary Neville saying something like, "Oh yeah, teams are going to see how Newcastle defended there, and they're going to come and try and do that." Teams have tried to do that.
Yeah, he tried to do that. Yeah, for the last season and a half, or ever since we started to turn the corner. So I mean, you're gonna get games. Yeah, you're gonna get games. Someone's gonna get lucky. We should have had a penalty. It wasn't like it was a faultless defensive display. We should have had one penalty. I think the second one at the end was debatable, but definitely the pulling of the shirt that was 100% penalty. When the Invincible season, we had a horrible. I remember a horrible 0-0 against Fulham. And Fulham were awful. We ended up drawing that game 0-0. Didn't sort of disrupt things too much. It's just how we bounce back, and obviously the game that we bounce back in is a big one, and we have to make sure that we don't start to unravel things a little bit. We just need to make sure we go there and not lose. Like Arteta says, if you can't win, don't lose, and same thing there. But Bez, Steve, thanks very much for joining me tonight. It's been a bit of a different kind of take and a short one. I appreciate your time and coming on. Obviously, City have won, so 5 points. The lead is being cut down to. Kind of knew that was going to happen anyway. But yeah, any last mentions you guys want to make before we head out?
Yeah, just to touch on a couple of players. Gabriel Magalhaes, is that how you say it?
Magalhaes, yeah.
He's been immense.
Yeah,
he's been immense. Yeah. People were wondering how he had a World Cup, not going to World Cup would affect him. He's been immense. And again, for me, I thought he would be the problem out of the two, and he's been absolutely solid as a rock. To be perfectly fair to him, I give him a lot of credit. It's bizarre. I'm going to say this. Saliba he's more prone to a mistake than Gabriel. There always seems to be one per game at least. But that's me being critical and just going, I've got to say something about it.
Yeah, I mean, just bringing Bez, have you noticed that as well? Why do you think that is? I think it's because obviously with the World Cup, I think he could have been one of the players that was ill, that had that, who might have got that bug, and the fact that he didn't play any games, his match fitness and sharpness would have been up there, would have went down to there, maybe gone up a little bit when he had the game over there, but then he's gone down again, maybe because he was one of those ones affected by a bug. But yeah, have you, are you worried about that as well, or about his performance? Is it to do with contracts, his dreaded contract?
all respect to Saliba, for me, he's got a great part in Gabriel, as Stephen knows well. That's a mark of a great champion for me, because if you don't get picked for the World Cup, surely one main defender who's actually leading from that defensive line and is actually keep going with these performances day in day out, it seems. Well done to him.
Yeah.
But with Saliba again, I do feel like he kind of, like you can see, he only played, I think, 20, 25 minutes for France. All respect to Liverpool fans and all respect to Konate, but for the love of God, I do feel like Deschamps didn't even utilize his squad as well, like Arteta did near the end of the winter break. Because I just felt like, surely you can play Saliba, you can play Konate, but why not play them together? You know, they play the same league. Yeah. You know, they both surely have the same understanding. Yeah. I just felt like, I just feel maybe he's had a little, maybe, I don't know, knock on him, little defensive.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Snaps.
Yeah.
See, saying that, sorry, but just to quickly butt in, saying that, the fans have still responded well to him, and he doesn't let it phase him. Like he is still carrying on, and he's still a top class defender, and he's still only young. So you know what I mean, I'm there criticizing him. It's not criticism; it's just something that I've noticed, and it's good to highlight it, because it then highlights the other defender next to him, who is what would be the leader of that back line, sort of saying, "Okay, I've got your back."
Yeah.
Okay, so if anything happens, I've got you covered, and it's the same for him. If Gabriel makes it, I've got you covered, and that partnership and that back line always have each other covered, and that's what's great to see. As somebody that played defence, yes, I can see the mistake there, but I can see his partner there going, "I got you, don't worry about it." And then the fans go, "Hey, don't worry about it, don't worry," and they sing his name, they applaud, and they just boost him up to go, "Come on, concentrate, get back in, get your head in the game," and he does. You know, credit to them.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think I said because of that situation he got in the World Cup where he wasn't playing, you think it should take him about 3 or 4 games before he gets sort of back to that level that he was before. So therefore, I wouldn't be surprised if I'll expect him to start against Oxford. I reckon he'll rest Gabriel and he'll start against Oxford, because it will give him a chance to sharpen his concentration, because he'd be up against different types of strikers with different types of movement. Maybe not what he's used to, so he needs to be on his toes. So hopefully that will just, hone him, get his focus right for obviously the North London derby, and we know who he's going to be up against there. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks, guys, so much for your participation and your contributions again. Been superb. This should be up pretty much straight away. I'll be back. We'll be back next week with a review or a preview for the North London derby, and obviously hopefully talking about winning the cup, our cup, and who we will be facing in the next round on our route to get number 15, and as part of a double. I know I didn't say that. I don't want to jinx it, but thanks for joining me tonight, guys. I've been Michael Harris. Shall I say the ODB Michael Harris? He's been Stephen the Method Man Osakwe, and he's been Ben the Rizza Kelmendi. Well, thanks for watching. Up the Arsenal, and take care, and have a very happy New Year. Come on, you Reds!
Come on, Arsenal!
Come on!